What's up, everybody? My name is Braxton Landseal, and I'm a senior partner engineer working on Niantic's Lightship Augmented Reality Development Kit. Today, I'm going to show you how to make your first project with Niantic Lightship. By the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to bounce digital balls in your real-world space. You can follow along with the steps below, or follow along with me in the video. We'll see you in there. First things first, we need to make sure that your development environment is supported by Lightship. Check out the system requirements page on the developer site to make sure you're prepared. We also need to make sure we have the right software and tools set up so we can build our Lightship project with Unity and then test on a mobile device. To do this, we're going to need Unity version 2020.3, Visual Studio, or a development environment of your choice, Xcode. You only need Xcode if you're building to an iOS device, and you'll need a Mac to use Xcode. An Apple developer account. Again, only needed if you're building to an iOS device. The Lightship Augmented Reality Development Kit. For now, you can just download this and put it somewhere where we can find it later. And finally, if you're building to an Android device, be sure to check out the Getting Started with Android page on the developer site, as there are some extra steps you'll need to take to make Lightship build to an Android device. For the sake of this tutorial, I'll be using a Mac and building to an iPhone. Let's dive into step number 1, creating a Unity project. We need to create a Unity project that we can bring the Lightship ARDK into later on. To do this, we're going to open up our Unity Hub application, and then at the top right, we're going to select the big blue Create Project button, then select 3D Mobile as our platform. After you've done this, go ahead and down to the bottom right and give our project a name. I'm going to call mine Lightship Ball Demo. From there, you can go ahead and click the Create Project button, and we've created our project. On to step 2, updating our project's build settings. We need to tell Unity what platform we're building for, and this can be configured in the project's build settings. To edit these, navigate to File, then select Build Settings. Once in there, find the platform you'll be building to. I'm going to select iOS. After selecting that, go ahead and click Switch Platform. Unity will process that. Once it's done, go ahead and close the Build Settings window. Step 3, we're going to add Lightship to our project. Now that we've created a new Unity project, we're going to bring in Lightship so we can use it alongside our game. To do this, we're going to import it as a custom package. Go ahead and click the Assets drop-down and navigate down to Import Package and select Custom Package. Once you've selected that, go find where we downloaded the ARDK to earlier and double-click it. This should bring up the Import Unity Package window. At this point, make sure all items are selected, which they should be by default. After you've verified they're all selected, go ahead and click the Import button. This will make sure we can use all Lightship components in our project. Step 4, authenticating with Lightship. To use Lightship, we here at Niantic need to know who you are when you're using it. To do this, you'll need to create a new API license key. First, navigate to the developer site. Here, go ahead and log in with your account if you already have one, or create a new account if you don't. Once you're logged in with your account, make sure you navigate to your account dashboard if you're not there already. You should now see the option to create a new license key. Enter a name for the application registering. This can be something as simple as Lightship Ball Demo to match our Unity project. After you've entered a name, go ahead and click Create. You'll now see your newly created API license key displayed on your dashboard. Go ahead and copy that to your clipboard so we can bring it back to Unity and update some settings there. Back in Unity, find our Assets folder. Inside of our Assets folder, we're going to create a new folder called Resources. Inside of our new Resources folder, we're going to create another new folder called ARDK. Inside this ARDK folder, we're going to create a new asset by clicking Create, going to ARDK, and selecting the ARDK Auth Config option. You'll see this creates a new ARDK Auth Config asset in our ARDK folder. Go ahead and find that and give it a click to bring it into focus in the inspector. Once into focus in the inspector, you'll see there's an API key field here. This is where we're going to put our new API key. So go ahead and paste that there, and then save our project. Now, we're authenticated and ready to use Lightship. Step 5, our main camera. We need to change some settings on our in-game camera so it uses our phone camera when Lightship tells it to. To change these settings, first click our main camera in our scene to bring it into focus in the inspector. Once into focus, find the Clear Flags property and change that from skybox to solid color. Under that, find the background field and set that to a solid black color. This just sets our background to black, which won't matter much once we have Lightship using our phone camera. Since Lightship is in charge of managing our phone camera, these main camera settings don't need to be tweaked too much. Step 6, adding a ball to our scene. To have digital balls bounce around our real-world space, we need a ball. So let's go ahead and make one ourselves. To do this, in our hierarchy in Unity, we're going to create, 3D object, and select sphere. You should now see a sphere in our hierarchy. And go ahead and right-click that, and let's rename that to ball. With our new ball, select it to bring it up to focus in the inspector. In the inspector, let's set each of the X, Y, and Z fields under scale to 0.5 to make our ball a little bit smaller. Step 7, adding physics to our ball. Our new ball is nice, but it needs some physical properties to bounce around. To do this, we're going to add a Unity component to our ball. Go ahead and click our ball in the hierarchy to bring it into focus in the inspector. Once into focus, find the Add Component button at the bottom of the inspector. Click this, and then start typing Rigid Body. Once the Rigid Body component comes up, go ahead and select that to add the Rigid Body component to our ball. Once you've added this, our ball now has the physical properties to react in a realistic manner to other objects in the real world around us. Step 8, creating a prefab of our ball. A prefab in Unity is simply a reusable asset. In our game, we want to be able to shoot balls over and over again. So to make this easier, we're going to create a prefab of our ball. So under the Assets folder, let's create a new folder and call it Prefabs. In our Prefabs folder, we're going to click and drag our ball object from our hierarchy into our Prefabs folder. So now in our Prefabs folder, you should see a ball prefab. At this point, we can safely delete the ball object from our hierarchy. Our scene won't start with the ball, but we're going to write a script later on to control when to create the ball in our scene. Step 9, our SceneManager game object. We're almost ready to start adding in our Lightship ARDK features. Just a few more steps first. Now, we're going to create a new empty game object that will be responsible for managing our scripts and other ARDK components. To do this, we're going to create a new empty game object, and let's rename it to something more fitting. We can call it SceneManager. Now we've created our SceneManager object, we'll leverage this later on to handle some of our ARDK components. We also need to add a new layer to our project. This is because Lightship comes with built-in functionality that helps us test in the Unity editor as much as possible, as opposed to needing to test on device all the time. We won't be doing much of that in this tutorial, but let's go ahead and add it to avoid errors down the road. To do this, go ahead and select one of our game objects in the hierarchy to bring it up in the inspector. Once in the inspector, we're going to find the layer field and click that drop-down. Here, we can find an empty layer and go ahead and type in ARDK _ mock world. Capitalization does matter here, so be careful. Once we've added that layer, go ahead and save your project. We've done a lot of setup and we don't want to lose anything. Step 10, writing our ball script. We now need a short script to tell our ball when to shoot and what to do, as well as to start some of our ARDK functionality. To do this, let's first create a new folder inside of our Assets folder. We'll call this Scripts. Inside of our new Scripts folder, let's create a new C# script, and we'll call it SceneManager to match the game object that we're going to put it on. You can now double-click that script to open it in Visual Studio or your preferred developer environment. Now the code for this script has been supplied alongside this video, so you can go ahead and take that code and let's copy and paste it into our script. For details on what each piece of the script is doing, check out the comments in line in the script. Step 11, attaching our script to a game object. A quick reminder to save your script before heading back to Unity. Now that we've actually written our script, we need to add it to our game by attaching it to a game object, then setting some variables so it knows what our main camera and our ball are. To do this, go ahead and find the SceneManager script we just wrote, and we're going to assign it to our SceneManager game object. Once you've done that, go ahead and click our SceneManager game object to bring it up in the inspector. In the inspector, you should find a ball prefab field. And here, we want to set the ball prefab object that we created earlier. You should also see a main camera field. Here, we want to set the main camera from our scene into this field. Step 12, demo shooting the ball. At this point, we should now be able to shoot balls forward in our scene. Let's test it out. First, be sure to save your project to make sure it catches all the latest updates we've made. Now, we can click the play button to run our project inside the Unity editor. Once the game is started in the editor, we should be able to click anywhere in the game area and successfully shoot balls forward into the darkness. Finally, it's Lightship time. So far, we've focused mainly on our core game mechanics in our Unity project. We've added some code that uses the ARDK to do things like detect when you touch the screen and start an AR session, and we'll be leveraging these things to bring the game we've created into augmented reality. Lightship strives to make it as easy as possible to bring your experience into AR, and now we're going to be introducing several components that are going to help us do just that. Step 13. Adding an AR Session Manager script. As the name suggests, the AR Session Manager component helps manage an AR session's lifetime. By default, this script runs automatically and is responsible for managing other details, such as ensuring your device supports augmented reality and managing other components in our AR session. This script is a staple when we're using Lightship. To add it to our project, go ahead and click our SceneManager game object in our hierarchy to bring it into focus in the inspector. In the inspector, click the Add Component button and then start typing AR Session Manager and select it when it comes up. Step 14. Adding the AR Camera Position Helper script. Again appropriately named, the AR Camera Position Helper script helps ensure that the game camera matches the position of our mobile device camera in the real world. We need this script to really bring our AR camera to life. To add this, go ahead and select our SceneManager object again to bring it into focus in the inspector, and then click the Add Component button. Then start typing AR Camera Position Helper and select it when it comes up. Once you've added this script, be sure to set the main camera in our scene to the main camera field on this script in the inspector. Step 15. Adding the AR Depth Manager. The AR Depth Manager script, as you can probably guess, is used to assist our game with understanding the depth of real-world objects in relation to our game world objects. And just like the other managers, it's very easy to use. Let's go ahead and select our SceneManager object once again to bring it up in the inspector, and click that Add Component button, and then start typing AR Depth Manager and select it when it comes up. After selecting it, just be sure that the camera field is set to the main camera in our scene. Step 16. Adding the AR Rendering Manager script. The AR Rendering Manager script assists with rendering digital objects against our real world. To add this, it's just like the last several managers we've added. So let's go ahead and click that SceneManager game object, bringing it up in the inspector, then clicking that Add Component button and typing AR Rendering Manager and selecting that. Again, make sure that that main camera is set to the camera field on this script once you've added it. Step 17, adding ARMesh to our scene. Lightship provides mesh colliders that can easily be applied to real-world space, so our real world has physics to interact with our digital objects. To do this, let's start by navigating inside of our Assets folder into ARDK, Extensions, Meshing, and once inside that Meshing folder, we're going to find the ARMesh Prefab object, and we're going to click and drag it into our scene. With the ARMesh object in our scene, go ahead and give it a click to bring it up in the inspector. Now in the inspector, we're going to locate the Mesh Prefab field, and we're actually going to change this to be a Mesh Collider Chunk object. This Mesh Collider Chunk object is also a prefab from our meshing folder, and what it does is it actually gives physical attributes to what Lightship is detecting as mesh around us. So not only is Lightship detecting mesh, but now it's giving it physical properties as well. And finally, in the inspector, also locate the Use Invisible Material checkbox. And we want to ensure that this is checked. If this is not checked, it'll give a tinted color to everything that Lightship is detecting as mesh around us, which can be helpful for testing or debugging purposes, but for the sake of this tutorial, we'll turn it off. This pretty much concludes the addition of Lightship features into our project. Hopefully you found how easy it can be to integrate Lightship's features into a Unity project. We try really hard to take very complex features and topics and make them very easy for you to integrate into your experience. Now, we're going to take our experience and actually build it to a device so we can test it in the real world. Step 18, building our project. We've come so far. Finally, we get to build our project and test it on a mobile device. One note here, that if you're building to an Android device, be sure to check out the Getting Started video on the developer site to make sure you have all the proper settings and fields set to properly build to Android. Now, let's click File and go back to our Build settings. And in Build settings, we want to click the Player Settings button. And in our Player Settings, we need to change a couple fields here. First, let's find the Camera Usage Description field. And this tells our application why we need access to the phone camera. So for us, we need it to do anything in augmented reality. So go ahead and put Lightship ARDK, or needed for AR. After you've entered that, we also need to do the same thing for Location Usage Description. Go ahead and put Lightship ARDK again. Once you've entered those fields, you can close the Player Settings window and then select Build. Now, I recommend creating a new folder to house your builds. So go ahead and do that. I'll create a new folder called Build Lightship Ball Demo. Then select that folder and we'll wait for Unity to finish building our project. Step 19, preparing to test on our mobile device. Now we're going to put the finishing touches needed to test our game on our mobile device in real-world space. A reminder here that if you're building to Android, please check out the Getting Started tutorial video on the Lightship developer site for instructions on building to an Android device. So I'll be building to iOS. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open the Xcode application on our machines. Then you can click Open a Project or File, and we're going to navigate to where we built our project from Unity earlier. So I'm going to navigate to my Build Lightship Ball Demo folder. And inside this folder, you're going to want to find the file with the file extension Xcode Proj and select it to open the project in Xcode. At this point, we can plug our phones into our Mac, and Xcode will prepare your device for development. At the top, you should see your iPhone name. For example, mine says Unity iPhone, Braxton Lansill's iPhone. Now in the folder layout in Xcode, select the top level icon. For me, that says Unity-iPhone. And once selected, click the Signing and Capabilities tab. Then check the Automatically Manage Signing checkbox. In the Teams field, select your personal Apple team. And another reminder here that this is the point in which you need to have an Apple developer account. Step 20, testing on our mobile device. Finally, the time has come. We get to play the game that we built on our phones. So go ahead and click the play button at the top of Xcode. It's going to take some time for Xcode to build your project to your device. And during this time, ensure that your iPhone is both hooked up to your Mac and that your iPhone is unlocked. Once Xcode has finished building the project, the application should open automatically on your iPhone. Once the app's opened, it's up to you to look around at the world around you, tap the screen, and shoot some digital balls in augmented reality. Congratulations! You've successfully built your first augmented reality project using Niantic's Lightship ARDK. Today we've barely scratched the surface of what Lightship can do and how you can implement it in your game or application. But hopefully you've seen how easy it can be to add augmented reality features to your project by leveraging Lightship ARDK. So what do you do now? Well, check out our tutorials page for several different tutorials over specific Lightship topics. You can join the community Discord to discuss Lightship projects with other developers. And follow Lightship on Twitter and Instagram to see other projects built with Lightship and stay in the know with updates to the platform. We hope to see you make amazing things with Lightship, and happy building.